G'day, Doggies fans, All Things Bulldogs. It's episode 10, and I'm just doing my best to get here. And pardon me. Thanks for all the comments already. G'day to Mark. G'day to Pete. Myself, Mark, Pete, and Jimmy will be going to see a game of rugby league together this year. And what we'll hope to do is meet a few of yous down there. So we'll get that organised. But welcome to everybody. I just want to thank everyone too. All the people who turn up every week and say hello. If not every week, every second or third. It's really appreciated. I'll just let you know that I've learned a lot off everyone. And hopefully we've all learned a bit off each other. But we've got round 3 coming up. Lots of news today. The team lists have been announced, but I just don't trust that will be the side that runs out. So let's get straight into it. G'day, John. Now, John Pierre, are you on YouTube with a different name? Did you win the competition? I think it might be you, John. Let me know. And if so, if you're on the All Things Bulldogs on Facebook, send us a message. So I'm trying to send some merch to the winners. And g'day, Michael. Thanks for coming on, mate. So let's have a look at the team list. Let's get straight into it. We'll talk a bit about Ryan Sutton. We'll get the top 30 going. But before I do, I'm going to put my fan on. Because I can tell you something now. I can generate a bit of hot air. Oh, yes, it's huge. I knew it was. Well, get in contact with me, mate. Send me if you're on All Things Bulldogs, I'll come say hello to you and send you some stuff out. Got a bit of merch you can choose from. And much appreciated, brother. Thanks, man. I love this jersey. I'm not even sure what it is, but I've been wearing it a bit lately. Yeah, I know. Still no updated player profiles. Message Darcy McDonald on X or Twitter or whatever it's called, because she might. I think she's taken over Caitlin Granville's job for a few while she's on maternity leave. But let's get into it. Let's get this team list up. We'll talk about Ryan Sutton. We'll talk about the junior teams coming through, and also I've got a credit to the spine, Oneill to debut. Whether Critter plays in the spine this week or not, I think I'm going to talk about what I think the plan will be moving forward, because I look at salary caps of the good sides and getting value out of your cap. And when you got one centre who's going to be worth $1 to $1.2 million on their next contract, it just doesn't work out that way. You just can't be paying centres that much money. So they'll have to have him in some sort of spine position. So we'll talk about that as well and get your thoughts on that. Sutton released, obviously. G'day, Mr. It's me. I'm going to rip right in, brother. Let's get into it. Let's look at the teams. So here they come. I didn't get to put it on the little thing that I might give myself a bigger screen if I can. There, that's better. We'll use this one. So we've got Parramatta Iongi, who's the young fullback, very talented. Sean Russell, Will Penasini. Now, they were very, very bad. But it wasn't just them there. That whole edge was terrible last week against the Tigers. And well done to the Tigers for exploiting it. Jordan Samrani, he had a bit of mess going his way. He actually played in the centres, it looked like. and Lomax moved to the wing, which he probably wasn't happy about. We've got an unchanged lineup for the back five. So Montoya wasn't suspended, which is fantastic. Tracy Wilson, Bronson Cherry, Stephen Crichton, Marcello Montoya. As we move down, Bailey Hayward named at 6 after he spent most of the second half doing that job. Dylan Brown and Dean Hawkins makes his debut for the Parramatta Eels. A very accomplished New South Wales Cup halfback from South Sydney. Can do it all and will be looking to impress. The Eels have quite a lot of depth in their halves, to be honest. They've got Dean Hawkins, they've got Volkman, who looks like he's been dropped or injured, I'm not sure. And he comes in. And he had quite a few games for South Sydney last year. Dylan Brown was all right early with the ball, without the ball, not so much interested. And that's going to be a problem for the Eels moving forward, I believe. I think we'll see more from Dylan when things are happening with the ball for the Eels and they're on top and doing well. But his mates are going to have a lot to say about that to sort of make it happen. Often Galway, Brendan Hands, Junior Paulo. You know, they're saying he's the fittest he's ever been. We'll see. Sean Lane made his return last week. Jack Williams is a very accomplished player from the Sharks, very fast. And Jermaine Hopgood, who's a workaholic. You know, there's nothing wrong with that pack, to be honest. Brendan Hands, very underrated. That just wasn't happening for this side. And look, they were pushing passes, dropping balls. They're not going to beat anyone in the NRL when you're doing that. Riley Smith, young fellow on the interchange. Matt Dory, Gideon Katonga, and Sam Tuavidi, who looks like a really big bopper to handle. I've got a feeling Ryan Madison will make his way into this side. I'm pretty sure he will. And I think Josh Adokar will also start on the wing. So not sure if they who gets dropped out of that. It could be Semrani, could be Russell. I think they'll probably go for a more experienced lineup. I think Semrani might find himself back on the extended bench playing New South Wales Cup next week. But we will see. I don't think Joash will get his debut against the first grade Bulldogs. But people had watched a lot of scrimmages and that used to comment how Joash used to leave a lot of the first graders for dead on the training paddock. So we'll see how that translates. He will get his debut at one point, and I can't wait to watch that happen because he's a really good kid and a really good player. But the Bulldogs, Max King, Reed Marnie, Josh Curran, named in the number 10 to start. Satili Tupanua slots in where Viliami Kikau slots out. Jacob Preston, Jamin Salmon to wear the 13 this week after starting both games of the season and being in our top 5 players, I must say, top 5 or 6 each week. And last week, you know, he was instrumental in our win. So well done to him. Kurt Mann to start with the 14 on his back. Harry Hayes deservedly starting in the 15. Then Daniel Saluka Fafita and Curtis Morin. The extended bench, Joey Oneill, Jack Todd, Blake Taff, Luke Smith, and Jonathan Sewer. Now, if we get the New South Wales Cup side up for this week, the Bulldogs play Para on Sunday in another doubleheader, which is really good. And let's show that shortly. Good evening, Timmy. Is Francis Morlow in? I don't think so, mate. Ross, I really don't think we'll be getting Francis Morlow. Fabulous Frankie Molo. I think I think the Roosters are in line for him, apparently. I haven't heard anything about Francis Morlow coming to the Bulldogs. And look, yeah, you know, there's always what's the word? Hesitant That's why I was hesitant with Carla Lawapu, even as a youngster. Like, because he just the fact that there was this arguments going on and stuff like that with the other club, and he's a young fella, and you give him the benefit of the doubt, and then you've got the Ben Hunt stuff. I heard today that the thing that was said to Ben Hunt, Ben Hunt said to the coach, sorry, but Kyle Flanagan's not a first grader, and he was gone from that point. But I also believe whoever said that has made that up, in my opinion. But I heard that on SEN this morning, to be honest. And apparently it's common knowledge. Well, it wasn't to me. But even Ben Hunt continually putting that team through the news cycle about where he was going to go all the time, and him not being happy and blah, blah, blah. I'm just not interested. I don't want these players. And even Ryan Sutton himself, there was a few issues before he come to the club, or from the media, with his wife and that, saying that he should have been picked and all this sort of stuff. And what coaches are going to say to that? Nothing usually. But I don't know. I just always worry about these players where they've, talking about this and that and the other, and they're not happy at their other clubs, and then they want to come to us, It's like, love the one you're with and then have us give you a call because you're good. G'day, D. Ryan Sutton being released. Any thoughts on who takes his roster spot in the 30? Well, I'll get the top 30 up shortly, and we'll talk about that for sure, mate. They updated it, yes. Oh, so they weren't prepared to put in the new photos. This is a little. They weren't putting in the new photos until they finalised the release of Ryan Sutton and others. So let's get that up in a moment. And we've got to look at the New South Wales Cup side and see who's playing there, because that might tell us a little bit about who's not playing. Oh, look how big I am. Well, let's change that. So, Blake Taft named a fullback. Same with Joash Papali, Hayes Dunster, Bailey Simonson, Samuel Luzi, Arthur Miller-Stephen. So you've got the Fox hasn't been named in New South Wales Cup. So if he's not injured, he's playing for sure. Volkman was dropped back to reserve grade. And I don't expect Joash will be playing first grade. Jonathan Sewer named in the side, Danny Gabriel and Luke Smith. Now, there was a thought of mine that Luke Smith would come into the centres and Critter would move to 6. I don't think that'll happen, but, this could all be ducks and drakes as well. Like, they name these, they're all playing the same day, so there's no, they can sit there and make changes to the New South Wales Cup side an hour before they run out and finalise that, and then we get an insight into who's actually going to line up in the NRL squad once you see the New South Wales Cup team play. But the way they've named it gives us sort of narrows down what we think, but that also could be for playing sort of ducks and drakes with the opposition. I think there's a bit of that happening with both sides this week. But that's a really settled backline. Taft, Seward, Gabriel, Smith, and Rennie Karma, Drew Hutchison, and Cassius Tia, who's been playing small lock and sort of floating around and adding his great skills to the game off the bench, is named to start. Joey. So for me, Joey Oneill will either be playing or he'll be 18th man for the NRL game. Jack Underhill, who played, did a fantastic job on the weekend. Taniela Otakulo, who's slotted in well from the Warriors. Lipboy Hotboy to start in the middle. Curtis Moran, named in the New South Wales Cup side and also named as number 17 in the NRL squad. Lewis Grossamy and Jack Todd. Ruben Moyle, I think he played in Ron Massey Cup the other week. Tom Amone, Zion Maeu, and and AJ Jones as number 17. And looking at this forward pack of the Eels, they've got Kelma Tulagi, who's a very good player. Charlie Geimer, who I thought did really well last year when he debuted. Joey Lussick can play first grade. There's quite a good side there. It's going to be a good battle at CommBank, and fans can get down there early and really get behind the Bulldogs in both sides. I thought Drew Hutchison would be named this week. My prediction was that they would name someone in this 6th spot. I thought it'd be Drew, and then I thought that there would be moving Stephen Crichton to number 6 before the game starts. And the reason I said that is because they're very open that they've done their reps with Stephen Crichton at number 6. So that's why they moved there. And as I said in the wrap-up, whilst it's not what I would have chosen, I back the club in whatever they do. And I believe that when they move Critter to that other edge, the Titans gain confidence out of that. Like, even when Critter and Wilson have struggled a little bit, and I shouldn't just say those two, that whole edge has leaked some points quite easily in both games and also in the trials. And I thought that, but Critter moving to that left edge to cover Burton just gave them a little bit of confidence, and they tested us there. And I felt the tries were quite good. Like the second one, we just did name up with the numbers. Like Salmon had to be out there, and he was stuck at markup because he had to cover, and Blake Wilson could barely get out there. They were 4 on 2. After Wilson got tackled, looked like a old-fashioned coat hanger when I saw it, but he actually coat hangered the ball, and it came free. It was a good tackle by Brian Kelly. That first try they got, I thought it was very well worked. But putting Critter back there after half time, as I said, I think that we beat them mentally just with that. That they were so worried about where he is in the defensive line. The opposition centre and playmakers, they think about it. I'm sure about it. Some of them are defeated before they even go out there, which is a bit silly. But I think it has a lot to do with it. The mental aspects of rugby league cannot be undervalued. But these players are all wearing the new jerseys, as Michael picked set out. So we will look at the top 30 and speak about who's in it when we get a chance as well. Blake Wilson's still in the old jersey. What's going on there? Something we don't know, Blake. And same with Blake Taff. Interesting. Maybe they're just doing it as we speak. But I think you're seeing the New South Wales Cup side, although I've been scrolling on the other page. Joey Oneill not named in New South Wales Cup side. So, yeah, John Pierre, I think he will either be playing off the bench. I don't think he'll start. I think they'll start with Bailey Hayward to handle the contact a little bit better because he's been there. Joey could lose a lot of confidence going out there straight away on a left edge with no Viliami Kikau. I just think it, and it's just while Satili's good, and he's just not Viliami when it comes to his presence in defence on that edge. Definitely a presence with the ball, and he tackles. He's like an animal, but Kikau's just a bit of a different beast, I think, and about 16 kilos heavier. Good chance he could be 14 as Moran named to playing cup. Yeah, so that's what I think will happen. I think it'll come down to Moran. It's looking like Daniel Suluka-Fafita will play, and I think he'll start. So I believe he'll actually start, Daniel Suluka-Fafita, and Curran will drop back to the bench. So let's go back to that side. So what I think will happen come game day is Bailey Hayward will start there. I don't think they're going to move Crichton, seeing that Luke Smith is named in the New South Wales Cup side. But I said it last week on the podcast. I said, you might not like it, but don't be surprised if Daniel Saluka-Fafita is dropped, Josh Curran starts, and Harry Hayes comes onto the bench. And that's what happened. You can go rewatch it if you want. Because I just, what would Serrauto do based on his previous actions? And that's what this week's very hard to pick. But I think me mate Pete's on the board with that. And if they go with the way things are selected in New South Wales Cup as your guide, and they stick with that, expect Bailey to start, Joey Oneill to be on the bench, and maybe to play, come on after 20 minutes, maybe get a feel for the game, see how they're going. Maybe just leave him on the bench and give him a few minutes late if we need some zip. Don't know. So he would come on. Saluka would start. Curran would drop back to the bench. And Curtis Moran would drop and play on the edge in New South Wales Cup. I don't think we'll see any of these players, other players, unless there is an injury. Jonathan Seward's been playing some centre in New South Wales Cup as well, which we saw. Because Geordie Mazzoni played wing last week and Seward played in the centres. And I think Luke Smith was our 18th or 19th man. So, look, it leaves me to talk about, and so we'll get the Bulldogs top 30 up. Oh, Blake Wilson's got his new shirt on, but Taff hasn't. So the top 30 is Blake Taff, Blake Wilson, Bronson Cherry, Connor Tracy, Drew Hutchison, Anari Tuala, Jacob Carraz. I do not believe Jeffro Runikama is in the top 30 yet. Jonathan Sewer is on the development list. Marcello Montoya is top 30. Matt Burton, Mitch Woods, Critter, and Sexton. So they're all top 30. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Bailey Hayward is your number 13. Saluka 14. Harry Hayes 15. Jack Todd is in the top 30, number 16. Prestomania is 17. Salmon the Fish is 18. Jake Turpin 19. Curran 20. Kurtman 21. Curtis Moran 22. Luke Smith is on a train and trial. Well, not a train and trial. He's on a New South Wales Cup contract. I've lost count, which is annoying. Max King, Reed Marnie, Ryan Sutton. Interesting he's there, but it's said that he has been released. Big Samuel Hughes, Satili Tupanua, Tom Amone, Viliami Kikau, and Zion Mau'u. So we had 12 up to there, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 20, 28, 29 players. So 29 in the top 30. Who comes up to the top 30? I think they're more likely to promote from within. So is it a Jethro Runikama? Is it a Jonathan Sewer? Both look like they could add to our depth in our wing spots very, very well. Or is it a player with more rounded ability? Is it Luke Smith gets elevated to the top 30, or will Luke be elevated to a development spot? And do they move someone from the development in to the NRL squad, which seems to be the pathway at the moment? And then we look at our New South Wales Cup players that they've got there. You've got Taff there, Bray Porter, Cassius Tia, Danny Gabriel. Obviously Oneill, Joey Oneill, who is in the development squad. Trenton Peterson, who's playing very good young player. Tay Cochrane, Regari Warwick, Mac Puafisi, who I don't know much about. Now, this Alan Holton apparently has got some game from what I'm hearing. Is someone we really need to keep an eye on, a hooker. AJ Jones, Callum Donaldson, Femi Tuilalo. Now, I'm not sure where he is at the moment. He played very well in the Jersey Cup Grand Final at 5'8", I think. Lachlan Vale, I'm not sure. He might have an injury. I haven't seen much of him this year. Very good player. Reminded me a little bit of Max Plath, the way he went about his business, just quietly. Jack Underhill, Jack Todd, Lipboy, Leighton Borg, Louis Grossamy, who I don't know much about. I will say that, but seems to be making a name for himself and being picked in that New South Wales Cup squad. Toby Sullivan, Otakolo, Ruben Moyle, who the big raps on this young kid. Oscar Bryant, another one, very good young hooker, looking to make his way at the Bulldogs. Some others, Adam Runchell, Jacob Lowe, and Lachlan Woodgar. So some of these kids don't even know much about them at all, and we'll hopefully learn a lot more about them as the season progresses. And if any young kids are watching from, want to share your story, reach out like some of the other guys have, and happy to do a player watch on you guys. Because apparently some of the kids do watch. So welcome to you guys, and I'm just a fan with a big mouth who likes to talk. We want to keep it under an hour though, don't we, Pete? G'day, Elaine. Thank you so much for joining again. Much appreciate all your support, and looking forward to seeing how CJ goes this week in Harold's Mats. Hopefully they can get the win. Because when they get that win, she's a hell of a day. Doggy hoo-ha. Louis Grossamy was sin bin for the Ron Massey Cup side on the weekend, but must have been a minor offence. Thank you so much, Timmy. If you click on Wilson, it is his updated profile. There you go. G'day, JD. Welcome back, and thank you so much for watching all the time, mate. Looking forward to the game. Hope they don't take it for granted that they'll just win. Yeah, well, look, every side in history that plays these weaker sides, and they all say, "Oh, it doesn't matter where they are, and this doesn't matter. Anyone can beat anyone. We're preparing for a really tough game." And then it's like they didn't prepare for a really tough game. You know what I mean? But this game of rugby league, it's on a knife edge. I watched that Parasite. I'm like, if they don't drop a couple of those balls and a couple of those balls stick and they score a couple of tries, just the mindset that I talk about, And I was talking about that with the Titans and that, Look, when we're booing the fuck out of Tino, right? Ever since he ragdolled Matt Burton, just been a campaign to boo the shit out of him. He puts his bumpers up and elbows people in the bloody neck. First run that he did the same thing. I only seen him do it badly once, and it was the first run. Put the bumper right up. Maybe the ref said something to him, but could have got someone in the Adam's apple or in the side of the temple or whatever, Why can't the defender protect themselves from that? That's bullshit. But we boo the hell out of this guy, right? And I swear it affects them. They don't like it, the Titans. It affects them. Their leader just getting booed, hated. He's not a bad bloke. But when you sit there and hold Matt Burton so fucking gay guy can throw uppercuts into him, gay guy could probably handle Matty on his own, He didn't need Tino's help. I don't know. I don't think Matty got too hurt out of it, but we don't want to see young Matty Burton. He was just like, what are you doing, mate? Leave me, mate, alone. And they'll just decide they were going to go in, Anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. But there's so many things that can influence games. You can get into the opposition's head. And I love the fact that Montoya come out and smashed Keanu Kinney. Now, CJ Uday, his favourite player, who he worships, is Keanu Kinney. So, look, and what a brave young kid he was in the weekend. Last year, we absolutely Viliami Kikau tormented Keanu Kinney. This week, this year, he wasn't going anywhere. We were just smashing him again. Stephen Crichton threw like launching shoulders, diving, launching, perfect hits right on the chest of Keanu Kinney about 3 times. And he just, sometimes he got slowly to his feet. But next time he got the ball, he was 100 mile an hour, Brave young kid. But we did our homework on them. Didn't hardly give him any room. And then he got us late. Yeah, he just kept trying till he found that opportunity. We rushed up, didn't have enough numbers there in the line, and they got around us. So, but just seeing Montoya do that early was really good, really well timed. They knew Des was going to do an early shift, as Des likes to do, and we were ready for it. And, we can do that to the Eels. We can put a lot of pressure on some of their players, and they'll be looking to exploit us through players that, in my opinion, they'll be looking to exploit us through players that we don't necessarily would focus on as their focal point of the attack. I think, obviously Dylan Brown's running game is tough. Will Penasini I've seen him pull our pants down a few times. Tough wingers. But, the obvious one is using the speed of the Fox, getting on the outside, kicking in behind, making us double back, making us, think twice whether we come in or hang back, all that sort of shit. I can see it coming. They've got Hawkins in there because he's a lot more accurate with his kicking, quite a good goal kicker as well. Doesn't really have that threatening running game, but he plays like a halfback, and they got the forward pack to beat us. So what I want to see from our Bulldogs straight up is the same aggression in defence, because that is the common denominator between the best performed teams to start this competition, whether they've had 2 wins or 1 win. All the wins have, for the most part, have come off through aggressive defence early in matches that just translates for long periods. And I want to see that continue for the Dogs. I never want to see that, relax one iota. So, yeah, I'm looking to see that again against the Eels. And no late offloads from their big boy in the middle. So we'll see how we go. But Michael, I feel like Tupanua will be crazy. I hope so. But he's been coming off the bench and playing that aggressive role through the middle, and getting off the back of good play balls, good leg speed through the middle. Now he's going to work. He's going back to work. He's out there doing the work. And I'm sure we're going to utilise him to terrorise terrorise people like Dean Hawkins, who I expect will be on the left-hand side of the field defending. No, he'll be on the right. I think Dylan Brown will be on the left. Yeah, so Dean Hawkins will be defending on the right, so he'll be coming up against Atili Tupanua. He's been very great for us so far, Tupanua, and Mike's very impressed. Jeff Rowe is top 30 next year. That's what I thought, buddy. In those stages, Rennicana had been named to top 30 at this stage. With Sutton gone, possible he could slot in. So he's definitely one. There's a chance that he could slot in for sure. Sutton's worth on our cap about $500,000. So, to think if you've got a Zion Mail who may not play first grade this year, but he's obviously costing a lot less. Was Ryan Sutton going to play much first grade this year? Not sure. If he got back to his best, definitely. He'd definitely be an asset for us. But they're like, we've got Harry Hayes. Harry Hayes is that player for us. He's doing the job. Luke Smith is a good chance at centres if centres are light on. Yeah, I think he's definitely a big chance. Captain of the club, captain of the New South Wales Cup, captain of Jersey Flag. I think he could definitely be one that they consider. Tino's a wanker. That's right, and you don't like it. Belmore was buzzing. Fantastic atmosphere. Sadly, we won't be able to play there for a while. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't 2 games there this year. Elaine says, yes, CJ's favourite player at the moment, but who knows? He might have a new doggies one soon. Well, that's the idea, Elaine. The idea that's one of the core fundamentals of Phil Gould's sort of ideology in a rebuild is that your junior kids, the kids in the area and the juniors coming through, all they want to do is be Matt Burton or be, Stephen Crichton. And for most, it was the Fox. Like, they interviewed 100 kids outside the ground, and I think 85 to 90 of them said that the Fox was their favourite player. And we can't, so we need to replace the Fox with another favourite, quick smart. And that's what we want. We want, in the future, to the young kids, the 7-year-olds, the 8-year-olds, when you say, who's your favourite player? CJ Uday, And with that, that's where you get value in your cap, because kids just will stay at your club that have been born and raised in the area. They've all had all these kids come in from, from Queensland, from New Zealand, from the country, to compete against these local juniors, and these local juniors eventually succumb that where, it's very hard for these people to come from these pathways outside unless they're really good, because our junior base is so dedicated, so loyal, so strong. Even though it's only 12 junior clubs, so when that's such a long-term thought pattern, but part of that is, CJ growing up in the area and saying he just wants to be Matt Burton, that's who his hero is, someone in the Bulldogs, and having just the kids idolise all their heroes are from the Bulldogs, not Benji Marshall from Wests or, not Kalen Ponga, not Reece Walsh, but Bulldogs players. And that's when we know we're winning the battle. And long term, that loyalty comes back. Kids will sit there and say, yep, all I want to do is play for the Bulldogs. And I'll keep training hard, working hard, pushing as hard as they can with every bit of talent they got to try and to get that spot, to get that opportunity to be a Bulldog one day. And for the most part, most of them won't make it, as we know. But that just creates so much competition. And we look at all these players that we have already fallen in love with. Look, I look at that Canterbury side and I'm just in love with so many players. They're not the ones that are probably going to deliver us heaps of premierships. I hope I'm wrong. I think some of those kids are still yet to come through. They're nowhere near their debut. But we will see. Look on the right side, Mike. Plenty of games at our core, and it'll be packed with blue and white. 100%. Do we know when Carraz is meant to be back? I've been so happy with Montoya. Do you think they'll drop Wilson when he gets back? Really good question, JD. I think Wilson will make way for Carraz. But the whole thing is, who's to say Montoya doesn't get injured this week? Or someone gets injured in the centres, and that's what happens. But Wilson was very good last week. Montoya probably his best game in the jerseys, and the round one, both rounds I give out of the two wingers, I like Montoya's been slightly better, but I wouldn't say more than half a point if you're rating him out of 10. I gave him both sevens, probably give them both sevens round one and give Montoya a 7.5 or an 8 in round two, and Wilson just half a point behind. Like, they've both done a lot of work, taken a lot of carries, supported each other, been safe, scored tries when given the opportunities, and done their job, done some brilliant stuff. Like Wilson, just getting that, being there to get that pass off Credo, that's footballer, man. Like, that's footballer stuff. See, I don't know if Montoya backs up the same way that Wilson did for that last try, and the pass back to Tracy was sublime. That kid's not just a winger, he's a footballer. And I look at Karaz and I go, he's not just a winger, he's a footballer. You can play these guys in wing, centre, probably play Wilson at centre at some point if you had to. Play Wilson at fullback, play Karaz at fullback. But for what the team needs at this point, Montoya is holding his spot. His experience has been good. His position to catch balls has been good. He always gets the yips once or twice in a match, and he nearly did it in that crucial point, but he held on, thank God, which gave him a clean sheet for the game. I think there might have been one drop ball off a bomb or something, like a contested possession. But I know there's always a bit of heart and mouth with Montoya. There was, because the problem is, back in the day when he was there, he sort of when he left the club, he was sort of like treated like Ockenbaugh was. Oh, he's going to knock it on. He's going to rush in off his wing, and we're going to be left short, and all this stuff. Especially after he come back from really severe knee injuries, and they just got him in there because he's a good kid, good local junior. I love Montoya. I really do. I'm glad he come back to the Dogs. He's not the Fox though, but he does offer probably a bit more. And kudos to the Fox in trying to beef up and bring that to his game last year. Couldn't really get it cranking. But I don't know. I could talk about these players all night. Hopefully they'll update all their jerseys. Mr. It's me. I wanted to see Bulldogs pressure Dylan Brown, and Parramatta fans will go crazy and give it to him like last week. Yep. Cause a few knock-ons, get in their head. Well, Dylan Brown has been talking about he was $1 million player when he had only just started coming on the scene. He went out and socially and said he was this and that and the other, and worth more than $500,000 a season, and started negotiating then. From that point of view, I don't like players who are out there and said, I'm worth this and I'm worth that. Let your actions do the talking, and then let your manager sort it out. But he was very young at the time, and that's just probably his personality. But it just isn't. But that's just me. He's now going to be. He's worth what? $14 million, $13 million. It's probably 13, but what the media's happy just to add on another $1 million because it sounds better. Mike was right in the middle of the crowd whenever the Hill chanted Tino's a wanker. Timmy, Connor Tracy's been awesome as well. Yeah, he just gives you everything, doesn't he, Connor? And you feel sorry for a Blake Taff because he's doing all right. He looks raring to go, and he's a bit more confident in the system. But still, I see too many tries in that cup side. And that was probably a thing when they scored that second try in the first half. I was like, what was our fullback doing? Probably catching their breath in that heat, to be honest. But we just did not get the numbers right. And there's numerous people accountable for that. And I don't want to see that happen too often. We've probably conceded, 12 to 18, 24 points in the first two games that really shouldn't have happened. But I'd rather it happen round 1 and 2 than round 27 or first week of the finals, if you know what I mean. So top 30, 29 in it. We are potentially going to upgrade a player like Jethro, Luke Smith, could be Jonathan Sewer. I doubt they're going to do anything with Underhill, considering they've just sort of put his into motion, but he's already streaming past a lot of people from what I can see. You know, to play 55 minutes straight, play the first half and then 15 minutes of the second half for a guy that's sort of only just come from Flegg, had a few games last year in Cup. He's like putting himself as like, I'm next man up, guys. Sorry to tell you, but it's me. But he's not eligible yet. Jack Todd, beautiful long-range try. I got to watch some of the highlights. I wish they'd show more defensive stuff in the highlights, eh? Like, seriously. Not just all the tries. G'day, Sam. Fox will be dangerous, might score a hat-trick. Well, I hope not. But he's the type of player that can do it and get their season going. But, look, I think it'll take him a while in that system. I really do. I think it'll just take him a bit of time. But if Dylan Brown gets the ball off some good yardage and off some quick play the balls and straightens up that attack, and we commit and they play the numbers, the Fox is going to score some points up the outside, no doubt about it. He'll be coming up against Blake Wilson. It's probably a good match to have on the Fox, to be honest, because he's just got that. He just can probably turn and chase a little bit better than some of the others, which was one of the Fox's attributes in defence, is that if people did try to go around us, he's very good at rounding up defenders and making them throw another pass or whatever, you know. Mike doesn't feel Fox will play. Could be wrong. Well, I don't think he's been injured there, Mike. I think he was just suspended from the cocaine. And he hasn't been named in New South Wales Cup. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. What I want to talk about. So that's looking at this top 30. And so far we've got 22 players named for next year. So we add on Lipboy Hopboy joins the top 30 next year. Obviously Leo Thompson. I think that's it. Kurt Mann's been re-signed, and all the ones that are already signed for next year. But there's a whole bunch off contract, which I'll need to have a look at. So I'll get this top 30 up. And the reason I want to talk about it. So I go to All Things Bulldogs, and Pete's put that up recently. I just want to get that up here. Here we go. I might be able to present that, actually. Let's get it up there. All right, so for next year, unsigned, Blake Taft, Blake Wilson, Bailey Haywood, Daniel Saluka Fafita, Drew Hutchison, Jamin Salmon, Jake Turpin, Curtis Moran, obviously Ryan Sutton gone, and Toby Sexton. So they're all unsigned. Lipboy Hotboy joins the NRL next year, as does Leo Thompson. So that's 22 players already signed for 2026. I would consider... I believe Toby will get himself a contract, but it might be a case that we're only wanting to extend him for 1 year potentially. And he's probably like, I can get 2 or 3 if that's his manager or whatever. But he's made it very clear he wants to be at the Bulldogs. I hope Shorty Moran finds himself a place in that side. I really do. But with Kurt Mann being re-signed, I think it's going to come down to they probably sign a Bailey Haywood Do they keep Kurt? I don't know. Like, this is all speculation, and I'd love to keep both. I think we say goodbye to Blake Taff, unfortunately. I think we'll say goodbye to Blake Wilson, unfortunately. I think we'll say goodbye to Drew Hutchison and Jake. I think they'll keep Jamin Salmon, and we just have to see. Like, and you've got these other players in the development list. You got Joey Oneill. Does he progress to the NRL? Does Logan Spinks progress to the NRL? Does Alatini named in Ron Massey? Jonathan Sewer, does he progress? So I think out of that, they're probably going to bring 4 or 5 of those players to NRL contracts. And some of these guys on what they call the train and trial, the New South Wales Cup contracts, I think you'll find will move either to the top 30 as well or to that development list. But it's just complete moving piece. And then you go to 2027, we've got quite a, Reid Marnie will be off contract. Lots to happen. And you would think that they probably are looking towards trying to get value, especially in that hooking role, from somebody younger. Because Matt Burton is a free agent come November 2026. Right? And Stephen Crichton is also a free agent come November 2026. Both these players, I think, will be commanding $1.1 to $1.2 million. Well, let's say 1 to 1.2 each. Now, you can't have, well, you can, but it doesn't make sense with the salary cap to have Stephen Crichton playing at centre on that amount of money. Is there room for both in the top 30? Connor Tracy will be a free agent come November 2025. He's with us next year. I think there'll be a choice made. I think Connor, who's found a home here, will be worth a little bit more money. And he does still provide good utility value. He can do that work off the wing. You can put him at centre and he'll do the work. Obviously, defensively, a bit smaller. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but in my opinion, a player like Mitchell Woods, I think, may debut in 2026. I think you'll see a big change in his body, and I think he'll sort of come on next year once he gets some games under his belt in New South Wales Cup and flag again this year. He'll be in and out of there, I believe, and he'll have some good days and bad. And I think next year will be more ready after that second top 30 preseason. But the point I want to make is that we can't keep it to compete for competitions. You need to have a fullback who's elite as a player. Honestly, think Connor Tracy's not far off that, to be honest, with the work ethic. Dylan Edwards is someone you wouldn't have said was elite back then, but he just kept working and working and working to now being an elite type player. You got Reid Marnie there in about 600 grand. It's funny, he's now on less money than Jeremy Marshall King. He took a pay cut to walk out on the Dogs, which he did, because he could have stayed for another year. Took a pay cut to go to the Dolphins. Played really well there, and then they rewarded him with a $700,000 contract, which is more than Marnie, which I always found interesting. So from that spine point of view, if Burton at your 5'8's on about 1.1, Mitch Woods, they know they're going to have to pay that. If he reaches the heights that they expect, you're going to have to pay him a bit. If they're carrying a player like Toby Sexton and he does stay with us and agrees to a 2026 or 27 extension, you'd expect he's on plus of 500. You expect he's earned 6 or 7 maybe. And that's where it's like, well, okay, we have to upgrade Mitch Woods to something close to that. Then we have to, what's our fullback doing? Because it's fair to sort of just look at it and go, you spine those 4 players, $4 million if you're an elite side. And then you get, you got your premier second row, your premier prop, your premier centre, your premier winger, and they all get the top dollar, one position. The second position is all about value. So juniors and journeymen. And, and then you got your specialist bench players who might be worth a bit more. But ideally, we want to get into a spot whereas however long it takes, where we don't pay every player that leaves our club goes on a salary, on the highest salary they've ever been on if they leave. And the people that come for unders. We replace people from within or from without, but it's all for less. And then you have your premier players all getting what they deserve until it's their time to move on. And that's how the business works, which is why I love the the club the most, the players second. So where are we up to? Do you think re-signing Sexton is a good idea? I think it is a good idea. I think he's a really good half. I really do. And I felt he was one of his better games. I felt when Burton went off, I felt he actually played better. And my issue with Burton leaving, funnily enough, for a long time there was we need him to kick us out of trouble. But the way we've been handling defences and the yardage we've made this year has been a lot improved as well. I think we need to look at that in the first 2 rounds. We've made some meters. Like, we haven't been eaten up in defence at all yet. It will happen. Go to round 1, round 2 last year, refer it every week. Look how hard it was for us to make any meters. And that's been our Achilles heel. We won post-contact last week. I think we might have just won it the week before, although we had a lot more possession. And I look at average post-contact per run and all that sort of stuff. Like, I break it down to those levels when I'm looking at individuals. Because if you just look at the totals they get and you don't add the context of how many minutes they play or how many runs they have, well, it's not apples with apples, or it's not. They're just numbers. They mean nothing. To bring meaning to them and substance to them, you actually got to break it down to what they're doing for every minute on the field that they're out there. And that comes with possession as well. So if they're not doing stuff with the ball, what are they doing without it? Where is the play on the field? You got to watch it and focus on different elements. You can't do that in one sitting, in one analysis. You have to watch it more times. And when you do, you learn more. Sometimes you just confuse yourself more too. Sometimes it's better just to look at it once, I must say. Because you don't know if you're coming or going. Would you resign Blake Taff or do with what we have with like Cochrane? I think Critter's the one who moves to fullback. I really do. I think that's what's going to happen. I was chatting with a really good mate, and he suggested that as well. He actually suggested that prior to me saying it, to be honest. And it makes a lot of sense to me. When you break it down to what these players are going to be worth and the positions they're in, I just can't see us holding a spot. And this is why Critter's sort of playing a bit of 5'8" here and there, and a bit of fullback here and there. And he's not going to be great at either positions to start. He's not. Right now he's such a security blanket for us at the centre position. And does that really well. But this club is in love with Stephen Crichton. and believes that it needs Stephen Crichton for another decade, in my opinion. If he keeps delivering what he does as far on and off the field and playing at high level, whatever he's doing, high quality. It's not always quantity with Stephen. It's quality. He's got that aura about him, and aura wins matches. Tallis used to only make 10 runs a game on average. Sometimes 20 tackles, 21 tackles. But his effect on games was huge. Watch the game versus South. They did nothing. 30 seconds to go. Broncos thought they'd lost. He does a one-on-one strip, scores out wide, and they win the game with 30 seconds to go. I think Paul Langmack might have been coach. I've got a feeling he was coaching South Sydney. He thought they'd won, or somebody was, and they thought they bloody won. Come downstairs and they'd lost because of Gordon Tallis. You know, some of these players just have an aura about them. They just... I look at Staggs a little bit like that too. Sometimes he's not doing nothing. Next minute he's scoring a 100-metre try and winning the match. Some players out there just got something extra. You know, I look at Critter a lot of time, and at Penrith, and I saw him floating in and out of games. I'm like, oh God, he's average sometimes. Defensively on and off. But since about Origin 2023, before he got to the Bulldogs, that he really impressed me. His one-on-one defence, his reads in defence in that game. That's when I started to believe in Stephen Crichton, when he started tackling the way he did. Everything else now is just sugar, sugar on top. How does that relate to to Blake Taff? I think there's enough in our halves academy, and I think Critter goes to fullback at some point and starts transitioning there. That's what I believe is going to happen. And from a salary cap point of view, and having a side that they believe can win comps, where they've got a premier fullback, a premier 5'8", a premier halfback, premier hooker, and really strong number 13s on either side. Really, robust front rowers that can go for long minutes, and the people that come on just take it up another level. That is what they want. And they need value from that. And look, Blake Taft's only on 250 grand. Like, he's not on much money. They got all these players on a similar amount of money, which is probably maybe 25 to 50 grand more than what they were valued on the market. But that was still better than what we were doing. We were paying players that were less credentialed more than that, or playing players of the same ability more than that to come to our club previously, because no one wanted to know us for a while. We were the lepers of the competition. And we have one good season, and all of a sudden Paul Crawley says we get big team bias. I still got to do my episode on that. Still, that eats at me that he gets away with saying that without anyone sort of pulling him into line. I don't think they'll retain Jake Turpin either, but I think he's well liked. And I'll tell you what, good little defender. Mike, absolutely. Pete thinks, agrees with myself and Mike that we should be re-signing Toby Sexton. Well, let Wilson go. I just think Wilson might come up for some bigger offers, and I just think they won't pay what he's worth to keep him, if that makes sense. I think he could be a sacrificial lamb, one that they just let go. But, if he's like, sign me up for a 1-year extension on whatever he's on, or a little bit more, he might stay with us. But I just don't see him as a long-term signing unless he can get an opportunity and just prove that he's the next fullback, or he's the next this or that. He looks, I see a lot of determination in Blake, and he's a hell of a footballer, I will say. Mark calls him the best winger in the club. I don't think he's the best winger in the club at all. But I'll tell you what, I rate him higher as a footballer. He's a really good outside back in our club that I think might be able to go to a team and really fit in really well. Hopefully he stays with us. But you can't keep them all. In regards to Tay Cochrane and Trenton Peterson and these players coming through, I think they'll be given the time to develop. I still think they will be chasing some fullbacks and trying to develop some stars. While these kids are great, I don't see them at Joash Papali level yet. So they've got a fair bit to do in that regard. And if Joash wasn't considered to be what they were looking for, short or long term, it doesn't give me as much confidence in our stocks. But that's not to say people develop at different times, at different ages. No matter what fans say, no matter what podcasters say, no matter what commentators or bloody journalists say, ex-coaches, ex-players, doesn't matter what anyone says. Ryan Papenhuyzen was the 4th pick fullback at that club. The Great Melbourne Storm. He was the 4th pick fullback. They didn't see he was their first choice. They were very sorry to see Drinkwater go. They wanted to keep him. They had Jerome Hughes come through as a fullback. They had Cameron Munster there as a fullback. You know, Papenhuyzen got a chance, got to go, and there you go. And look, they got Falongo coming through, who, you know, young Will Afawalo, who come through that Storm system when he moved from Sydney to Melbourne. Did the player watch on him recently. He was playing with Falongo. Very, very good young player. And Papenhuyzen might have to leave because of him. But the point I'm saying is you just can't predict anything. Some of these kids can just develop. They don't, like the club doesn't even know that they're NRL players, and they don't know they're NRL players until sometimes the planets align and they somehow get given that opportunity, obviously through hard work and everything like that. And they're all talented, but they get that chance and they take it and it all just clicks. And all the work they've put in and all the heartache they've had and all the times they probably could have doubted themselves, all of a sudden, next minute they're in discussions to get upgrades of over $500,000 and all their dreams have come true. So you can't count any of these kids out. They've all got talent, but we're going to see lots of names, and we've been seeing lots of names over the last decade. We've seen a full turnover of roster. This year's been the first year with any sort of stability. Okay. We've got that stability now. And we're sort of just buying a couple and upgrading many. And that's what we want to see. So it's starting to happen. So I do expect to see a Blake Taff who's fit his purpose for a couple of years, get an opportunity at another NRL club. But who knows? Tracy could break a leg tomorrow, right, at training. And Taff comes into the fullback spot and we go on and win the comp with him as our fullback. Do we keep him then? He might have to kick the goals because Burton's out and he kicks them from the sideline, wins the competition. All of a sudden, etched himself as the next Hazem El Masri as far as kickers go. These headlines can be written. Who's to say they won't? We just sit here and we have a chat and we love just to think about it and imagine it. There's so many stories out there. And everyone seems to dwell in the negatives all the time. They've all got the opportunity, and sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's just fate. And I don't know if people believe in fate. I don't even know if I do, but synchronicity, the planets align. I don't know. Getting a bit deep. Be a bit rude after he knocked back Parra to stay at the Dogs. So there we go, Mark. Taking headlines from the media and somehow this is what I love about you. It also allows me to sort of elaborate. It's like we take headlines from media and somehow that creates a narrative that is supposed to be some sort of, emotion that's related to some sort of reality, a reality that may not exist. We extended him for a year. Para come knocking, we kept him. Now, it's not a bit rude if he decides he wants to go. I think Blake Wilson and his manager will be the ones that determine whether he stays at the Bulldogs or goes further. I think there will be an offer there. I think, based looking at our stocks, and we've got a lot of youngsters who could probably do with seasoning up. Rinny Karma, another playing New South Wales Cup week in, week out. Next year starts to filter through potentially. You need a Blake Wilson there. Is Anari Tawala's foot going to be healed? Is he playing centre? What's our stocks like there? Is Luke Smith going to work out? You never know. Is there still room for Blake? Or does Blake get an offer and he goes, look, thank you for everything at Canterbury. I can get a bit more money at this other club. I've got some permanency here. I've got some guarantees here. And, on his way. I don't think it comes down to, we're just going to toss him out the door. It could be like that too, and maybe it is a bit rude. But every single player off contract, it's a bit rude, isn't it? I'm sure that the majority of players that play for clubs have had offers from other clubs that they've knocked back to come to Canterbury for that one extra year or whatever, and then we've decided we didn't want them anymore. That's the narrative for every player in the bloody competition. And if they're good enough, their football will command what happens. That will determine it. Their football and their attitude and how they conduct themselves on and off the field will determine where they end up. And is Stephen Crichton an $800,000 better player than Blake Wilson? I don't believe he is. But I'd also believe Stephen Crichton's value is whatever Stephen Crichton can get or wants to accept. I don't think he's a greedy bugger, to be honest. If you can buy better for your coin, it's business, unfortunately. 100%. Or give it to your juniors. Another thing. I always like that, though. You can buy better for your coin, it's business. And 20 years or however long ago, Aussie started to make more profit, buying better for their coin. A lot of industries here went to shit. And then COVID-19 hit, and we had no one making the stuff that we used to have plenty of because people from here stopped buying it. But that's business. Thought I'd just get political on everyone then. A few people I know a bit scarred from manufacturing back in the day, has a big effect on families and that. That's just the way of the world. It's the way it's gone everywhere. And it's no different with managing a business, managing a salary cap. If someone can provide you the value that you're looking for, fill the role that you need filled for a cheaper price, so you can have better foundations and grow your business, and grow your team, and get better bloody outcomes, you're going to do it. It's just the way it is. Which is why you got to love the club first and love the players second or third. Because they're going to come and go. There's a whole bunch of players that I look at and go, this is a Bulldog for life. And then all of a sudden they got another jersey on. And I don't like that, but that's just the way the game is. And think about West Tigers, all the players that made it in the NRL that were West Tigers. And one thing you can say about Canterbury and its rebuild is that a lot of the players that we've let go haven't made it in the NRL. Kyle Flanagan. His dad facing nepotism, accusations from most of the fan base. They say that last year too. Then he comes out and he gets asked a loaded question from the journo about Ilias, and he sort of gives the journo what he wanted, and then he come back and retracted it later. But where was the criticism for Kyle Flanagan? He could have done that a lot better, especially a new young half that's come to the club. And look, Ilias made so many mistakes against the Bulldogs. We put him under so much pressure, which is what we talked about in the preview. If we put those halves, considered probably some of the worst pairing or least creative pairing in the comp, good defensively for the most part. And we saw Ilias stop a good try from kick out potentially. He can defend that little guy, and he's got all the skills. But what happened? We pressured him. He made mistakes. Second game back from a massive leg injury, I must say. So he's underdone. But Kyle did some all right things, but he didn't bother us at all. He doesn't bother anyone. Catches some teams by surprise, gets up, plays the ball quick, score off the next play. I've talked about that. But that seems to be the trick. He scored 2 tries last week, though. Oh, he scored 2 tries, I guess. And they lost by a point in the end. They should have won that match. Souths, people say it's all Wayne Bennett. It's Wayne Bennett is a head thing. Our coach is Wayne Bennett. Wayne Bennett says jump. I say how high. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. I'm more courageous because Wayne's my coach. That actually is a thing. And it turns to wins, but doesn't last unless they've got the systems in place and the cattle on the park. It won't last. But they should be 0-2 in my opinion. The South Sydney Rabbitohs. You ask me. They've still got them bottom 4. They might make the finals. If they keep winning these little games, they've still got a lot of talent on the park, but I rate their 30 lower than ours. And I rate us as about I had us at about 10th. That's gone up to about 8th now already after 2 matches, but I had South way below that. But that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's true. I think Wilson's good depth for us. I do as well, buddy. And honestly, I think he will dictate whether he stays at Bulldog or leaves. I think there'll be an offer on the table. That's just my opinion. Because I think he's done a good job to start the season. I really do. And I think he's had some really good moments in our colours, especially on that right wing mark. Sorry, Mick. Sorry, Pete. If you got to go to bed, buddy, I understand. You can always watch it. Watch the replay of the second half tomorrow. Time for a pillow and a mattress, Pete. Will you wait till we get to the pub, Pete? Bring your fucking guitar. Make sure you bring the guitar. We'll get some karaoke happening. And you won't be able to sleep once I start singing. I'll get political. Albo and Chris Brown are bigger wankers than Tino. Oh, calm down, buddy. They are wankers. But if you think the answer is in the redhead or the Palmer, the trumpet of Patriots or Potato Head, I'll tell you, got another thing coming. And I was actually going to start a political podcast as well, which might lose a few of you when I start talking. But I think we'll leave the politics for where politics belongs, not here. So I do apologise for bringing that up and enabling a comment like that to come up, because I'll just tell you something now. Once you get that sworn in as the government, you quickly learn who makes your bed. And yes, you quickly learn what you must do. Tahi, bro, agree with your opinion on the rabbit situation. Lads have been lucky. And thanks Tahi, for jumping on. Value you, brother. Thank you so much. And always saying like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. Appreciate that. Those comments. Very much appreciated. I thought I heard the fans saying the ref was a wanker. There you go. I like a W with an anchor after it. Good on you, Timmy. You're a good bloke. And thank you to you, mate, for always being here every week as well. Much appreciated, my friend. But look, I've been going for a fair bit now. We won New South Wales Cup, big victory on the weekend. There's highlights on the Bulldogs website that you can watch. Some really good tries in that game. Wish there was some defensive stuff we could have seen. Let in a few tries, which was disappointing. We lost Jersey Flegg against the Melbourne Storm, which wasn't good. But I think the Storm have been building their juniors for quite a while, and they're starting to get some real talent emerge. So we'll see how they go. But and I think the Jersey Flegg side will be pretty good this week. We've got Harold Matz, SG Ball playing again this week. Ron Massey, Tasha Gale, and Lisa Fiola. So lots for you to get in there and support. If you can get to any of the games around the place, go watch the juniors play. Get an early signature of a future superstar is what I say. Could be worth something. And they just love the support. Tell them you're here to support them. Wear the colours like you're going to watch the NRL side if you can manage it. I don't think it costs too much. Not that, we've all got to save our pennies. I shouldn't say that disrespectfully, but, it may not cost too much, and it really makes a difference. You go out there and cheer the boys on and the girls on as well. And getting excited for the introduction of the women's NRL side. When I first watched rugby league between women, I was like, oh, it's a bit boring. And then, a couple of years of women's NRL, I'm like, God, this reminds me of watching 80s rugby league. And watching the hits and the toughness, and, it just gets better and better. I look forward to watching the game, and, I won't have a bad word said about it now. Love it. Good on them. And it's just sport. I'm watching another game of footy. Doesn't matter if it's women or men, There's swagger, there's aggression, there's toughness. Love it. Whenever Tino touched the ball, boo. Whenever Tino tackled, boo. I love booing. Taff missed only one field goal, which was good in New South Wales Cup. Yeah, he can kick all right, young Blake Taff. Go CJ. Hopefully the boys will get back to winning ways. All 4 juniors at Newcastle this week. Well, if you're in the Newcastle area, get down there. It's only an hour up the road. Go watch them. Go on a road trip. I'm not sort of walking the talk here. I'm up in Brisbane and I've got a lot of shit on, so I can't get out to the footy. I'm not even getting out to a Queensland Cup game to watch. Thanks, Timmy, says Elaine. But look, guys, I said it. I think Critter's going to move to the spine. Moving forward, does that mean we have to part with a Matt Burton, a Reid Marnie? What happens with Connor Tracy? Critter go to fullback, or does he become a 5'8"? So there's still an opportunity for that to play out. There could be Critter that comes in. You might see a Luke Smith who's named in New South Wales Cup. Maybe he goes to centre, which will be a huge test for the young lad. I got a feeling that Moran will drop out and young Joey Oneill will be named on the bench. I think it'll be a real baptism of fire for him to be starting and having players like Sean Lane and running at him. Whoever's on the other side of the bloody field. It'll be tough. I think you'll see Ryan Madison elevated into that side. I think they will go with as an experienced team as they can with that bit of youth that they've got. I think you'll see they'll bring in the Fox, they'll bring in Ryan Madison, and that's what I think will happen. Tracy can play half as well. Man can play 5'8", 100%. All possibilities. Michael, am I streaming for the game this week? Yeah, I think I'll do a preview when we get maybe the final team named, or if I hear anything. Sometimes when I get some information about, I'll come on and I'll say something, sort of in a roundabout way. I forgot to come on and tell you is that the person who said, well, basically there was a feeling, or there was some mentions that Karaz might be ready for this week. That was knocked on the head a few days ago. So before the team list come out. So there you go. He's an up and down thing at the moment, but they want to make sure he's 100% right before he goes out there. And there's players doing the job. We're 2-0. And look, and that's the other thing, guys. For the preseason and for these first two games after the sides were named, we had fans up in air about Jamin Salmon and about this and that. And I've been on the podcast and I've said it quite clearly. The Dogs fans here are making the same mistakes that the sides last year and all the commentators made, where they looked at the Bulldogs bench, the smaller bench. They looked at the Bulldogs pack, the smaller, so-called smaller pack, and all the utilities and all this sort of stuff, and they said, nah. Teams thought they were just going to run through us. Fans thought opposition teams were just going to run through us. Even me having that feeling, looking at the side, reading it on the paper, I'm like, and then comparing it on the size thing, I'm like, fuck, they're going to run through us. But everyone's making the same mistake as all the teams made last year, that they were just they looked at that Canterbury pack, we're going to run through them, we're going to beat them. But the difference this year is the aggression of the Dogs has been up a level. We've been restricting meters even more and making more with the ball. They're going well at it. Now, they haven't been seriously challenged in the middle yet. There's a couple of times where the Titans got a bit of a roll on, got that speed of play the ball up, and were tough to handle. Yes, but not to the level that you would expect when you look at one pack weighing, a ton, and the other pack weighing about 75% of them, or about 750 kg. It was a massive weight difference to the Titans. And their pack, Max King looked like the best. He was the best prop on the field. He was the best forward on the field by far. A cut above. On the weekend, Max King and Corey Horsburgh were the two best props in the game, from what I saw. And that's a big changing of the guard if they can keep it up. Massive. They've always had raps on Big Red, but King's sort of been this, he's a good bench forward who can offload, to being, he's a hard worker. Yeah, he's a good second sort of prop to have in your side, and he's a good second. And I've talked about him as the second hit-up man, how that takes him to another level. He's now the man. He's the dog. He's the leader. He's the Roy Asatasi. He's the James Fisher-Harris of our side right now. And he's playing like it. He's the Adam Fanua-Blake. He's the Payne Huss. Name them all. He's that dude in our team. And he's actually living up to it. And I fucking love it. He's the king. Forget Wally. It's all about Mad Max. Fire up. Everyone heard down to Combat. We need to take over Combat. 100%. Get down there. See, there's be some Bulldogs there in that side. You got Samrani, you've got Gideon Gatonga, you got Matt Doorey. We're paying Matt Doorey good coin at the Dogs. A lot of knee injuries. The Fox, Joash, just doesn't stop. Doggies to win by 13 plus, says Tim. Tell me all your scores and then we'll get going. We've been going for an hour and a half. And I tell you what, Pete doesn't like listening past an hour. And I understand, Pete. Tick from Dave. Let's put 50 on Para casually. G'day, Paulie. G'day, lads. Good to see you on, Paulie. Hope you're well. King is the king. Smokey for Origin. Well, I think he's my next Bulldogs-bound, Origin-bound Bulldog episode that I'll do. I did one on Jacob Preston, and Max King's got to be in that discussion. I don't think, when you're picking Payne Huss and picking Mitch Barnett as your props, I've got no problem with that at all. And I've got no problem picking Spencer Leniu as that interchange forward. But outside of that, I'd pick Curran just to play, to keep running into the hole, keep tackling, keep chasing footballs. And I'd definitely pick a Max King if there was a spot there for him. But I don't think they're going to have spots for these guys. But their loss, our gain. But I think they are worthy of being in the discussion that the way that they are playing. And I'm interested to see how Oitikamanu goes this year too. 36-14 for Michael. Yeah, I hope we don't give him any points this week. I really want to see our defence improve this week. Yep, he's a Jake Turbo-like player, does the dirty stuff, can tackle all day, never stops. 100%, mate. Michael wouldn't be surprised if we put on a cricket score. And I don't think Paraby is bad this week. They get some experience in. Yeah, I think it's going to be a game. I really do. And that's not going to be a slide on us. They're going to have a win this year. The Parramatta side will beat someone. And they might beat a good side. They might beat a team that's struggling. And whilst I've been very, very happy with the aggression in our defence and we've put on some points and all that sort of stuff, I still think there's a lot that we have to improve on. And I want to see nothing but a really strong performance this week. I really do. As does everybody. I am a little bit worried, though, and I'm worried every time we go out in the field. It's been built into my subconscious. I think, don't expect the thumping. They'll be up for the game. I just hope our defence improves, and I think we'll win the back end, though, mentally tougher. Yeah, it definitely could be that as well. But look, we've got a few. Losing Matty Burton and Viliame Kikau on that edge is huge. Defensively, it's huge. And this week's training needs to, I'm sure it's like full on. As they say, in these derbies, no matter how good either side is going at the time, you can throw out the form book. This is Parramatta versus Canterbury. Big fan bases, hate each other. Sometimes endearingly hate each other too, It's not always like, I want to murder you hate. It's, I love how much I hate you. Timmy says Bulldogs 48, defeat the Eels 4, first try scorer Wilson. I hope that's the case, Timmy. I really bloody do. That's what I'm hoping for, that scoreline right there. Very big outs they are, Paulie. Max King to get a try, almost got his first one in years on Sunday. Yeah, he's done quite a few nudie runs as Max. And I think they were trying to get him one as well. See, there's a bit of that in the Bulldogs. Like, we've got to get you a try, That's a bit cocky. And I think it's cost us some points. I think there's been a bit of cockiness in the side. Like they feel good. We are good. We know we're good. We're going to do good. Well, yeah, and I also started getting, when there were the crowd singing, "Hey, baby, ooh, ah." I was like, oh, no, we've still got 60 minutes to go and the crowd's singing already. Great to see everyone having a great time, but I was just like going, there might have been a fat lady who was going to sing, you know what I mean? Para could decide to muscle up and they got plenty of strikes still, 100%. But guys, we've been going for an hour and a half. I think it's time that I got off the podcast. And I've loved speaking to you all. I loved everyone who's come on and said hello. I value you all. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts and teaching me some stuff. Support all the Bulldogs podcasters. But coming here, I'm going to give you something a bit different, I think. Nothing shits me more than just watching people trying to be the media. And if you get that impression for me, I want you to let me know that. You can do it privately, so you don't embarrass me, of course. We've all got egos. But I guess what shits me is people trying to be the media and people trying to sort of, be angry every time we lose, be so angry every time we lose, and just cater to all the hate and picking players out and going straight at the coach and, and something's got to be done about this. But then when we win, they're the best supporters in the fucking world. Everything's kumbaya. Like rugby league means so much to us. There's a reason why, when my team's losing, I start fighting with people I really love and care about. And I know there's lots of us that are the same, male and female. You start getting so pissed off when somebody says something. Look, I've had situations where I've got, why the fuck did that player do that, right? And I won't mention their name. And then someone comes on and says, types that publicly, what I was thinking. And then I'm angry at that person for saying it publicly. Because I'm just like, don't shame them publicly. Just keep it to yourself, Don't have to go out there and shame people. And anyway. And a lot of these podcasters, when we lose, go publicly and start shaming players and stuff that they then, down the track want to have on their podcast if they could, or, they're at the games and I don't know, each to their own, but I'm not here to put shit on our players. That's all I'm going to say. I'll find a way to look for another angle. You know what I mean? So thank you for those who have joined me in that journey. And I hope you keep coming and saying hello. If it gets boring or you want to see something different, let me know. I'm certainly not bored. I'm having a good time seeing you guys every week. It's great having people who love the Bulldogs as much or sometimes more than I do. And I know it's hard for me to imagine, but there are people that do. They think from the day they wake up to the time they go to bed, they're just thinking Bulldogs. And I must say that is me a lot of the day, but yeah. By the way, first time we won back-to-back games since 2016. There it was, Michael. I knew I was hanging on for something, and it was a stat, and you got it for us, my friend. Very long time since we won back-to-back games. And the last time we did that, our coach was Desi Hasler. But we need to win 3 in a row. So tell me, Michael, when was the last time we won 3 in a row to start a season? Before we come up against a genuine top 4 side. But you can keep that for another day, my friend, because I'm going to go now. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for saying hello. Like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And if you know anyone who plays footy in the Bulldogs and they, want to tell me their story, I'm happy to put one out there because it's been really, really a blessed experience that I've had to be able to do that with a couple of players. So happy to do some more. Something I really enjoy, and to get you viewers who are here all the time interested in finding out about some of these players that we don't know a lot about, and it just enables us to have a better appreciation and understanding of where they come from and how important it is their careers are to not only them but their families and that sort of stuff. And and just knowing that nothing is taken for granted at all. I love you too, Timmy. Oh, there we go. I'd love to. I will try. 2012 was the last time we won our first 3 matches of the season. There you go. 2012. Could it be another Bulldog Storm type year? I felt 2011 we were worthy of a final spot, just missed out. Played some really good rugby league. 2010 played some good rugby league. Not sure if we got the wooden spoon. No, that was 2008. Made the semis in 2009. Prelim. Pretty sure. Anyway, I'm just rabbling on. We should have won in 99. I always say that, Michael. If that kick doesn't go down that right edge at that time, on the train from Wagga Wagga to Campbelltown, listening on the radio, coming in and out, depending where I was, 20 in front with a few minutes to go, and yeah, unbelievable. Couldn't believe that was the end of our season. It gutted me. Bringing Ricky Stewart and Bradley Clyde to our club, to what we did in 1998, I thought, and we looked good at different times. We looked like one of the best sides in the comp. I think we should have won the comp in 1999. But the Melbourne Storm did. Anyway, I've said too much today. And we made it in 2006, the prelim. And 2006, I think we lost to the Broncos. 2009, I think we lost to Para. Both sides went on to make the grand final, obviously. I've been clicking up 52 years as a Doggy supporter in October. Oh, you're only a young fella, Scotty. I think it's, 47 for me or something. All right, time for my bed, guys. Thanks for joining, and have a great night. Enjoy. Might get some more content out during the week. We'll do a preview. I love coming on here. It's fun. And we'll talk again soon. Take care, guys. Go the Dogs.